To today news on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshak, and here on Today the News we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. This morning I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard's major headline says e-transmission of poll results can't replace manual. That's coming from TINUBU. Signs amended Electoral Act 2026 into law. INEC's position on electronic transmission of election results. You can see that on page 10. APC Congress, 2 feared killed, 5 injured, vehicle burnt in Ondo. You can see that on page 15. Failure of institutions deterring FDR in Nigeria, says Townley Johnson. You can see that on page 21. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, TINUBU signs executive order to end NNPC's 30% oil revenue cut. That story can be seen on page 20. That takes us to the Punch newspaper. Electoral Act 2026, TINUBU defends assent, opposition raises L. PDP, Labour Party raise red flags, TINUBU defies protest as APC predicts credible poll. You can see that on page 2. Below, on page 14, 2 killed in Ondo APC bloody Congress. Ramadan, Lent, Atiku, TINUBU governors preach unity. You can see that on page 14. Widow, late Nigerian boxers family clash over estate. You can see that on page 30. And top banner, FX for business travels soared by 366% to $672 million. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, federal government says 32 man after gas leak kills 37. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. Now let's move to the Guardian. Here we have 2027 credibility battle shift to INEC as Tinubu signs amended Electoral Act. You can see that on page 6, and there's an infograph here showing Electoral Bill 2026 Comprehensive Public Guard. Now, away from there, we move to news page 5. We are again polls reject NLC's extortion claims, says the sector backing 6 trillion naira unpaid bills. Telcos reject objection to electronic result transmission, insist on national coverage. And directly below the banner, Olimon Tinubu will be all spiritual reflection, commitment to shared humanity. Lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, reps fought for funding of security intelligence. You can see that on newspaper 3 now. The Nation newspaper, the nation's major headline says Electoral Act 2026 goes into effect. President signs reworked bill. INEC gets leeway to review election timetable. Elections can now hold in January. And then there's a statement that says we need to avoid glitches, interference, unnecessary hacking in this age of computer inquisitiveness. You can see this story on the front page, and it continues on the Nation newspaper, and it highlights some of them. We have IREF now legal, INEC notification dates called to 300 days. Parties can pick candidate through director of consensus process, digital verification of party membership registers. This can also be seen in the Nation newspaper on page 7. Ex-UN chief orders to lead a $2 billion Nigerian mining finance group. Top banner, failure to protect investors deterring FDI, says Townley Johnson. You can see that on page 3. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, JAMB registers over 1.5 million for 2026 UTME. Page 4 of the Nation newspaper has the story. That's all we have on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back if you're just joining me. This is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshak. Yeah, joining me to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning is Mr. Oludari Mayowa, publisher, Global Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Mayowa.
Good morning, Damlola. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And now let's talk about the Electoral Act. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed the Electoral Act Amendment 2026, emphasizing that although Nigeria now recognizes electronic transmission of poll results in law, it is supplementary and does not replace the traditional manual collation process. What do you think about this? The fact that they're insisting that electronic transmission cannot replace manual collation. What's your take on it?
Thank you very much. The debate on the transmission of electoral election results to IRF, is kind of divided into many places. Yes, IRS was enable Nigerians to actually view the results as they come, real time, to ensure them for everyone to collate and to compare with the ultimate results. That's the ultimate result of that IRF, which is very good for transparency, accountability, and the rest. But on the other hand, when you look at our electoral system, we conduct the election through paper ballot. We record the election result through paper, from ES or whatever they call it, and it means that we have a multi-dimension approach to election in this country, and we might really probably affect the real-time electoral transmission. For me, I think what we need in Nigeria for us is a holistic reform of the system, whereby we can actually vote using our NIN, vote through our phone, and phone through electronic process, which will eliminate human interference within the process. That's exactly the ultimate goal which we aim at. But in terms of having transmission, recording the election, voting through the papers, and all the rest, we may still continue to have those experience of not having transparency. Because, for example, like the argument said, if there is an outage, like what is witnessed even through this program, the network outage and the rest, there's no way they can achieve real-time transmission. And within that period of outage, a lot of things will have happened by the electoral officer, by the party agent, by the political interest in the whole thing. So the argument is neither here nor there. Like I said, the ultimate goal for us is to actually eliminate all the paperwork and ensure that people can vote either within the convenience of their house or going to electoral polling units to actually through their identification, and probably in the I-9 to have a biometric card that can insert to a system and indicate you are voted and transmitted as you are voting. The result is being collated electronically and being transmitted to the IRF or whichever way they are looking at it. This is the only way we can have electoral transparency and accountability. Otherwise, we're still going to battle between the paper and the electronics.
All right. This amendment was passed amid intense debate and civil society protests demanding that real-time electronic transmission from polling units to INEC's central system. Now, but the arguments that because of some of the issues in Nigeria, the technical issues, that is what is stopping it. Do you think it's political interest or technical issues that's affecting this?
No, you can't eliminate political interest. The stake is very high. Our political system is in such a way that the winner takes all. For example, a PDP, APC, ADC win an election. They won't go and vote for people from outside to come and be minister, commissioner, and all the rest. It's going to be their member. So the stake is very high. So the political party that have the edge, advantage, will push for a favorite legislation that will ensure that they are on top of the election. So what we are seeing that play out in the National Assembly is the political interest. Don't forget that the last couple of months, the APC has gained many influence from PDP for other political parties. So their members, they have the majority in the National Assembly. Now do you expect the ruling party who understand his stake and what is at stake to dance to the tune of the opposition? It won't happen. Our political system has not matured to that level. And I think I will blame the opposition for what happened in the passage of the electoral law in the country. When there was a public hearing on those electoral law, where were the opposition? Did they make any presentation? What were the civil society? Were they at the debates? That they make their position know that this is what we exactly the pattern of what we want electoral law to be? None of them appeared there. None of the political leaders, none of the juggernauts, appears in those committees and the debates. Only when the final coalition has been done by the people who have interest in the outcome of the election, collated the result and without making the noise about the whole thing. That's not where it works. In other realm, we see the opposition playing the role of opposition, having like a parallel administration of government. This is our view of politics. In UK, for example, the opposition leaders, if you watch Kevin Badnoch recently on social media, you see how bullish he was in defending the position of opposition against the government policy. You see the whole thing. That's what the opposition is supposed to mean in democracy. They should keep the ruling party on their toes to ensure that we have good governance. But opposition here, they are waiting for the election campaign, and that's why they come out and making press conference, press releases, and making noise. It doesn't work out that way. You don't expect somebody to sit at the table, want to vacate the table voluntarily for you to come and take the food from him. No, he will do everything to defend his position, his present position. So I blame the opposition really, and they place is civil society. So we need to do more in ensuring transparency and accountability in our politics. And all hands must be on deck, including the ordinary Nigerians, making their input to legislation and calling their representative at the National Assembly to order. They have local offices, senatorial offices, representative offices, and the rest. These are where these things happen. When you mount pressure on your representative from the locality, they will not go to National Assembly to go and do something different from what you have the people want. But what we see, we need them to go away to go as. That's why you can see make it easy for them to cross from one political party when they are elected to other political party without consequence, because the people are not playing the role they have to play.
But electronic, system, it has been piloted before in Nigeria. Now, given HINEC's decade-long pilot and technological investment, should Nigeria be moving towards greater reliance on e-transmission rather than moving back?
No, we have to be making progress in terms of electronic voting, in terms of electronic process. But like we have just said, the interest is very high. Politicians will only be politicians. They want the state, they want the best for their own political party, not the best for the people. But what role are the opposition playing? What role are the people playing to ensure that we have a level playing field for every participant in the process? None. No, we don't wait to the last minute. Now when they have collected the ideas on electoral law and start making demonstrations openly and start calling for whatever. From day one, our inputs must be seen to be sent to the National Assembly through our representatives. We have senatorial office, for example, who represents your district, for example. Not many of us know who represents us in the senatorial district. At the House of Representatives, for example, not many of us know them or know their offices or interact with them. This is the primary. This is because democracy is designed in such a way that people can relate with their representatives and they can feed them back what is their desire for the country. Do we operate this kind of system in this country? No. And if you don't operate that kind of thing, then the representative will do the will of their paymasters, those who put them there. And as long as that's raised, we can't have what we desire as a political process in this country until we take steps, until we do the right thing. And that's my own idea, that until the people themselves stand up for democracy, stand up to defend the democracy through their participation in the process, right from the grassroots up to the upper level. That's only where we can have democracy that can be transparent, that they can be accountable.
But
you don't wait till the cycle of election, start reacting to that demonstration. Demonstration will not change anything.
But Mr. Mayo, as a Nigerian, do you think e-transmission of results is possible right now, based on some of the technical issues in the country? For example, the network coverage limitations, particularly in some rural areas in the country. Even in the major cities, we have the failure of network, and also the grid issues. Grid collapsing almost often in the country.
No, in my opinion on this issue, that it's possible for us to conduct election through electronic system in a way. For example, you send a message through WhatsApp to a friend, and there's no network. It will show that they are not sent. But as long as your internet is on, whenever there is a service, that message will deliver. automatically to the person you send it to. And that's where it works. Regardless of the network issue and the rest, we can overcome that network issue by way of reform, by way of government investing more in network expansion, and by way of dedication to what you want to do. So they can upload real time at the electoral polling booth after signing, after the whole process. And even if it's hanging there, whenever that platform enter into where there's network, it will send automatically without any interference. So we can adopt that system. So the argument against the network issue is political. It's convenient for people who doesn't want the system to work. And that's why sabotage comes in. So, like I said, until the people, the so-called opposition, decide to fight for democracy, we cannot have any reform, workable reform, because there will always be those who have the upper hand. And I've always tell people, who among the political gladiators can spend the sitting president today and willing to win their election? Who are the capacity, to confront the mood, So these are things we are seeing until you are able to depend on the vote of the people, until you are able to reach out to the people and mobilize them and carry the people along, in the election. We can still have a major party dominating and using financial influence, using sabotage to ensure that the elections comes in their favor.
All right, let's talk about the president's stand on this. The president emphasized that while technology remains important, elections ultimately depend on human management and also the public trust. And according to him, the manual voting and counting process remains central to Nigeria's electoral system. While the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, he declared that the Electoral Act 2026 will ensure that every Nigerian vote is counted. Is this enough to put for the public to trust in the process?
The public trust have been eroded through the manipulation we have witnessed over the years. And let me say this thing: even the process of amending electoral acts year in year out, it's not healthy for the democracy growth. We have a country like US, for example, they have a constitution. They don't just continue to amend, at the whims and caprices. For example, look at the executive order enacted, signed by President on oil and gas yesterday. For example, the Petroleum Industry Act passed through major process, too many years, and yet those lacunas, those provisions were allowed in the process. I would not see the implication. That means there was no proper thinking involved in our our legislation process. Because otherwise, after passing an act, for example, we wake up one day and say, there's a provision that will hinder free flow of transparent election. We need to call for amendments. That's not where it is done in the same country. Look at our law, body of law. Law alone cannot ensure transparent election. No, it's not possible. It's the people. They depend on the people, and the people that help to manipulate election are among us who feed the economy, who are involved in some of these things. So, what we need to do is that how do we ensure that people believe in a transparent election? Because you are seeing people who are crying today, who are demonstrating today. Most of them are being hired by political opposition who can pay for it. The same people will go and collect money from a political party to vote against their own conscience. So overall, it's the people. We have to begin to see orientation. How can we orient people to see that your vote matters, determine the kind of quality of life you have in the economy, and so you have to persuade people not to collect money to vote, and we have to ensure that their vote we can't. So these are the process we need to go through, not election, not legislation, not process. You might not the most beautiful legislation, but when it comes to the proper implementation, it's human being that will implement it. It's human being that ensure its success. It just means we're ready to sabotage it. There's nothing the law can do against such process. So we must understand that we need the people to believe in the electoral system. We need people to trust the electoral system. We need people to defend the electoral system, in such a way that we begin to have a transparent and accountable election. Otherwise, if you don't have the buy-in of the same people will sabotage the process. And we'll go back to this clear one.
All right, let's move away from that story and talk about EFCC and El-Rufai. And after spending 2 days in the custody of EFCC over alleged corruption issues, El-Rufai was released only to be simultaneously taken by ICPC and amid this ongoing investigation. Now, what was the fact that two anti-graft agencies are engaged in separate inquiries into El-Rufai conduct suggest about the complexity of the allegation against him?
No, the El-Rufai case is a very unique case. It says that it was part of the ruling party from the beginning. It was a frontline person advocating for the sitting president. But politics in Nigeria is very dynamic in such a way that a friend today could become enemy tomorrow. And that was exactly we see playing out in El-Rufai case. It was supposed to be in the cabinet of the president, issue. Something went wrong. And there was a personal race against him that disqualified him from becoming a member of the cabinet. And he now became the campaign against the sitting president. Don't forget, if you have passed through public office in this country, there's no way you can come out clean. Either a default or not, there's no way you can come out clean. There must be some process that have handcuffed you. Make you to complicit into whatever has happened in the system. And that's the case of El-Rufai today. The people he helped to be elected, he cannot. Don't forget, those who are in the State Assembly today were his proteges, selected to be there. The governor of the state was proteges or elected to be there. He was the one that ensured that they put the election through the cook and the means that they do it. If they are the same people that have been using against them, that's the color of politics in this country. So for him, if he has prepared for opposition, he will ready for this kind of thing happen. I don't know the veracity that is guilty or not. It's a law that can prove him guilty or not. But he has created room for being prosecuted through his activities, through other kind of things. So for me, until the law, so whatever he's going through today, he should have expected. He should have anticipated that this thing will happen to him. You have been governor for 80 years. And don't forget what happened during his current. And the House of Assembly probe is dealing. And they came out to say, all this money was diverted. It's not left for him to go and defend that the ICPC or EFCC. No, EFCC and IFC have their own parallel operation. And they have a particular area. So probably EFCC is acting on the financial crime. ICPC is acting on the public official misconduct. So it is a normal in a system we are operating, and in his position as a major opposition to the ruling party, he should anticipate what is going through, what is passing through. And I wish him luck, because I don't have a sympathy for him. The politicians, they are the same, both sides, opposition or ruling party.
Mm-hmm. All right, but what do you think about supporters, both supporters and critics are taking to the street to protest? I know some supporting and also some against it. What do you think about it? To the extent that tear gas was actually dispersed to people.
No protesters are purchased in this country. If you want someone to protest for you, they can go to the market and hire people to print a pay card and give to them. So the protesters are not a measure of your popularity or your measure of your innocence in any allegation. The law is the only way where you can prove yourself innocent or guilty. So if people can protest in support or against, it's a normal thing in the political system here. Where people you have the money, as you are today, if you have some millions to spare, can ask people in your village, pay them, and hire some people to go and campaign for you that you are the one next to go to the Senate. Even though you don't have the political value, the electoral value, but you have the money to buy so it's possible that you have people to protest. People protest against so even in America, if there's some survey that people will say you protest against Nigeria, you know where Nigeria is, they don't know where Nigeria is located. They say people hire us here to come and protest. So it's all about people hire people to come and protest for them. Let El-Rufai go to court and push his innocence. That's what I wish him luck on.
So
It's not
what,
about protest, it's about
so
public opinion.
what does this say about the protests in Nigeria? Is this not going to affect the genuine protesters in the country? The fact that you mentioned that buying or getting protesters now is something that is very easy to do.
People are hungry. The economy is very bad. People are hungry. People are looking for ways to eat, to survive. And anybody that offer them that opportunity, they will grab it. Nigeria are not buying to politics. They're not buying to democracy. That's why you don't see popular participation in the political system. How many of us belong to a political party? How many of us subscribe? How many of us take interest in what our political activities taking around us? Even our community, for example, the CDAs, how many people participate actively? People are looking for what to eat. So we have left the space for people who are hungry to grab the opportunity when the money comes. Or you have genuine commitment to democracy, electoral system, where people are involved, genuinely involved in from their local CDAs in the politics. I live in an estate, for example. We have over close to 400 families living in that estate. In every month meeting, we have less than 100 people attending meeting. And all less than 100 people take decision that is binding on everyone. And that's the system we are operating here. Other people are busy doing every other thing. It's when you take a decision that affects them, that start see them start making noise on the platform. But what are we doing from beginning to ensure that we are part of the decision-making process through our participation? Until we get to that position, we have people who are hungry, the economy, the government, the people in government wiping poverty to sentiment to put people in charge. Because when people are poor, they can grab to any straw. They can grab to any people. I've told that story many times, probably in this platform. In 1993 or so, I was in daily science. I went to cover election, primaries. And I interviewed some people. Yeradua from the north won against Yakonde in Lagos. And I was so surprised. And I was trying to talk to people. I was saying, Yakonde, it was because Yakonde I went to school. Yeah, it was my landlord. Yeah, it was that person that asked us to give us money to go and vote for Yeradua in Lagos. So our elections are being influenced by finance, by poverty. People are poor. And whatever people can pay the bill, even 2,000 that can buy bread for them immediately, they are top immediately. They will go for those people. That's why we have this crisis in our election today. But in a climate where the economy is working, where people are not hungry, even though in the US when they are not hungry like we are hungry in this place for the war, the people participation in the election was very minimal too. Or they are not hungry, so they don't care who is there. And it led the space for people who can seize the opportunity to win the election by all means. And that's what we are experiencing here.
All right, that's a very sad one. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Mayo.
Thank you for having me today. Yeah. And have a lovely day.
And you too. And this is where we have to draw the curtain today. My name is Damilola Ogunshaki. Do what to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguardindia.com. Have a lovely Thursday.